How do you pronounce your last name?
Boyajian.
Boyajian. Okay.
It's an Armenian name.
Okay. Boyajian. Okay.
Boyajian. I'm probably saying it wrong, but my great ancestors probably say, you said it.
Bill Boyajian.
Actually, I found out in the whole Armenian catalog. Believe it or not, there's a whole Armenian catalog. You know, like a whole Earth. You've heard of that? Well, this is the whole Armenian cat, which is not that. And in it, they explain names. Actually, the Turks took over a good part of Armenia way back in like 1909, around there. And so the way they used Turkish words to describe what they were doing, and then they ended the name with IAN, which means from Armenia. So it's like, I found out my name means a house painter from
Armenia.
Yes.
Very interesting.
So,
and
it was actually one of the examples in the book. So
very interesting. I have no fun fact about my name in that aspect. So I'm not as interesting as you. So we're here today with Bill Boyajian from Best Racing Systems. Bill, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? What do you do? Kind of what races you work with?
Well, now I pretty much do 99% of the time it's 5K. You know, but through the years, and I've been doing this for a long time. Actually, I wrote the code for my timing, okay, and I actually did my first coding back in '82, okay, a long time ago, and I wrote it on a CPM, which is before MS-DOS computer, a Capral computer, and that was quite an experience. But man, I did it for the fun of it. I can go into a long story. I don't know if you want to hear that, but yeah, I did that, and then. I just tried it out at a race. I had a friend who was a race director, and he said, "Oh, that's great." And then I joined a running club, and the president of the club found out about it. And he started selling it to all these other races, and then it just took off. So, and then we split up. It was originally Elite Racing, which you might have heard of, because his son took over the business. And then when I got married and moved away from where we originally lived, we broke off, and Lee continued, and I started Best Racing. That was about 97.
Yeah. So how many races do you time a year?
This year, I would say it's between 50 and 60 a year, yes.
And are most of them local, because you're in New Jersey?
Yes, yeah. I used to do races all like New York City, Pennsylvania, even Washington, D.C. I did a race, but now it's just all... Yeah, all New Jersey.
Yeah.
I usually, when someone asks me a time of race, the first thing I do, I get on Google Maps, and I figure out how far away are they. And if they're more than about an hour 10, I won't do the race. I just say you're too far away.
So over the years, you've been doing this for many years. Do you have a fun story about timing, a crazy story? I think all timers have one.
I timed a race through a Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah.
And that was quite a thing. Just even trying to set up the equipment. You're there fighting the cars that are driving just to get into the city or out of the city. And you're there setting up the equipment, and you're worrying about them driving, and you get hurt or something. But the police are over there. Oh, don't worry, they're okay. I'm like, oh, all right, sure. And the one I just timed recently, which was in the Mall of America, American Dream Mall, and actually, this was the second time we did it last year. So when I got contacted about doing the race, I said, well, will this equipment work in the mall? That's the question. Yeah, and I call up my support and the manufacturer. I said, will this work in the mall? And they said, well, we've never really tried it in a mall. We've done staircase climbing, but that's a little different because you're enclosed. In the mall, it's a bigger opening, and there's steel pipes behind the walls, and I'm like, oh my God, how much? So in the middle, before I said, okay, I preliminary accept the race to do it, and I took my equipment on the weekday. I drove up there and set up my equipment. Now the people there probably thought, who's this crazy man? But I set up my equipment, and I put like some tags on myself, and I ran across the finish line. I looked at it, and it was working.
Everything's working.
I even grab some people. You get people staring at you in the mall, like, what is he doing? So I said, can you hold these bibs and run across that little mat there so I can see if this equipment is working? And they all said, okay, sure. They didn't question me at all.
No questions asked.
So, but it worked, and it worked great last year. Then they made some adjustments where the course was. So we had to make some adjustments on the way our equipment was set up, but everything worked. So
Yeah,
that was
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. And then from your company and sort of your business, how do you use like RunSignup? What are some of the tools that you use kind of consistently, or maybe push your clients to use?
Well, lately I've been pushing the race check-in, the check-in app, because it used to be before then, not too long ago. Probably the best way to look at the timing is before COVID. We used to print a list of people pre-register, and they take it to the pre-registration table. And when someone comes to pick up their bibs, they would look down the list to figure out if they pay or not, and then give them a bib that way. But, everybody's trying to save paper, and then you get these windy days or snowy days. It's not so great using paper. So I've been pushing people to use the CheckIn app. Also, it makes it more efficient for people. Before, people had to pay cash. They couldn't use their credit card to pay on race day. But with the CheckIn app, it allows us to keep the online registration open or set up the kiosk so people can register that way. So now people can use their credit card to pay for signing up for the race. So it gives them more flexibility, and they don't have to worry about having so much cash online. I think what's starting to happen little by little is people are saying, we're just not going, you can't sign up, with paper. You have to do it online on race day.
Yeah, and I think over the, definitely with COVID, when like restaurants had QR codes for their menus and stuff like that, like the mass population got exposed to QR codes, and we've been using those for years. And you can just set up like a printout and put it on like a sign outside, like wherever you have your packet pickup.
Yeah.
And you can just have a QR code that goes right to your RunSignup page and say, hey, just register online, register on your phone. You can pay with your credit card.
Yeah, I took some pictures at one of the races, and I saved that picture. And when I talk to other races, I say, here, and I show them the picture of like, a little tripod with a sign. Yeah.
Right.
Another thing that surprisingly I never thought much about, and it really became very helpful. There was one race was for a lot of security. I mean, they have FBI agents there, police, state police, local police. The race was put on for the judge whose son and husband the son was killed and the husband was shot. She's a federal judge.
Yep.
Well, the race was put on for her son's school, to raise some extra money. So we put on the 5K in honor of him, and she was actually there, but there was a lot of security. So we had to keep track of who was actually there, and I had to provide a way for the security, the FBI agents, and all. They said, well, we need to know, how you're going to let me know who's when I see somebody, who they are. So I gave them the CheckIn app, and they loved it. It would work
That's
perfectly.
awesome.
And also it tells them, like, how many people checked in, so they know if they checked in or whether they want.
And then
so they used it for security.
I don't think I have heard of that scenario before. So it's actually, I love talking to customers of ours, and that's actually really that's a lot. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
But you can also, like, theoretically too, after the fact, if they had any questions or follow up with you, you could go into the back end and download the check-in report and spit out a timestamp.
But they needed to know right away. You couldn't say, I couldn't print them a list and give it to them, or let me look it up or print it. They needed to know. So I gave them the CheckIn app, and I gave them their own password and everything.
Yep.
To get it and
they loved it.
They loved it.
That is so interesting. That's so cool. I think in the 5-7 years or so I've been here, never heard of that scenario before.
So now you know the
now I know
the FBI are using the CheckIn app.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, Bill, we really appreciate you taking a little bit of time and having a chat with us, and we'll let you get back to the roadshow.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Okay, well, I think I see some new people to the channel, so thank you all for joining us. Brian and I are here to say goodbye and thank you for watching. So goodbye and thank you for watching. If you want to see more though, you can subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell and all, that way you get alerted when we post new videos. And if you'd like to click on the thumbs up button and let us know you enjoy this kind of content, we'd be very grateful for that, wouldn't we? You know it! Thanks, Brian. Always got my back.